Hey guys! Today we're gonna start a new section on this course, and we're gonna start a different subject. Let's start working with our theme blog. Our theme will not only be helpful for ordinary e-commerce websites, it will also have a blog, and everyone today understands that a blog is a great way to bring visitors and potential buyers to a store. While they enjoy the very useful information that you give them for free on the blog, they may be interested in buying something in your store. And our theme can lend a hand to the website owner by offering a blog. We're going to start by bringing some blog entries on the homepage just below our deal of the week. Then we're going to move on to the styling of the blog's inner pages. And of course, you're going to learn a lot about how WordPress works. Before we start, let's move here to the front end. And as you can see, the look is already a little different. Thanks to the CSS I added here on the theme, as I mentioned, I'll be doing in the previous lesson. So before we dig into today's lesson, I need to explain all of the changes I made so you don't feel lost. In any case, if you can't follow my explanations, I advise you to go on, download all the files for this lesson, and copy all of the files I'll be showing you. Maybe it's the easiest thing to do because they are all updated and correct. Here in the CSS file, the changes start here in this content area class and go to the end of this section called header main menu. You can copy all this until the end of the section. Next, we have this section, which is for all of the product lists on front end. Go ahead and copy this too. This portion is not new, it was here before. So you don't need to copy. I think you already have this in place. The last portion you need to copy is this one here called General, because I just added this portion here. So this is now the updated version. And last thing for the CSS file, I grouped all of the media queries here at the end of the file. So copy this section here too, okay? I also took the opportunity to make small changes here to the theme's header. The CSS for the header are all here included in the file. So just copy the portions of code I have just indicated and your header will be updated too. The only thing you have to correct with me is a class name I misspelled in the header.php file. It's this class here called account. Mine was misspelled with a single C. The correct is double C. And to finish, I made a small change here in the H2 tags of the sections that featured products. Each H2 has been placed inside a div with the section title class. I use this to be able to draw this horizontal line here in front of the section title. I'll be showing you all of the changes, okay? The first one is this one here. This is the next one. This one for the deal of the week. And this last one for the blog section you'll be including today. Just pause the video, copy the right code, or download this file here inside the folder related to today's lesson and copy the code snippets to your file. Of course, all of these titles are now dynamic, including the blog section title, as you can see. This was an exercise that I left for you in the last lesson. I'll be showing you all of the changes I made also in customizer.php. Here is the setting and the control for the first title, popular products. If you did the exercise, yours don't need to be exactly like mine. Here's my solution. As you can see, I already added some comments to each field, indicating the field numbers. It is optional, but if you want, you can also copy these too. Here's for the second title, the setting and the control. Third title. And the last title for the blog section. And here in template home.php, I called the field and passed the default value in the second parameter. So upon theme installation, we still don't have any title stored into the database, but at least this value will be shown to the user. Then when they change the value in Customizer, this one will disappear. That's the idea. For the other titles, it's the same thing. Well, there are a lot of changes. So before you start following this lesson, take a few minutes to update your code, alright? Whether by copying the files available for download or by modifying each file manually. Well, that said, let's jump right into today's topic. If you look carefully, just below the section we created in the previous lessons, we have the word home. Why is this? Let's go over to the code and see. Well, the answer is here. We have a loop that doesn't make much sense here. I don't know if you remember, but we created this loop at the beginning of the course. But that's not all bad. To call our blog's content, we just need to modify this loop a little bit. We need to turn it into a custom loop, just like we did when we created the slider. To turn this into a custom loop, let's use the WP class called WP query. First, let's create an array just below the row. And let's pass some arguments in here. I can use, for example, post_type and define that we only want posts that belong to the post type here. It seems repetitive, but it's not. Actually, this argument here is optional because by default, WordPress will bring posts of the post type to the loop. But we could pass here, for example, page, which would bring pages, or product, which will bring a special post type, which is related to each of the products of WooCommerce. The next one is posts per page, all with underscore. Let's set the number of posts to 2. Let's create a variable here. Let's call it blog_posts. And let's say it gets a new instance of the WP query class. And we pass args here inside the constructor as a parameter. Now to finish, we take this object variable and place it in front of these have posts and the post functions. Now I already got a custom loop. Let's see what it brings to us on the screen. Look at this, it has brought 2 posts for us. For now, I only have the title and the full post content. But I also want an image from the post. I don't want the full post content, I just want the excerpt. And I want them both to appear next to each other. So I have to make some changes in the loop. First, let's add some Bootstrap classes here in the article tag. co12, co_md6. Now they stand side by side. Let's get back to the code. Let's change the content over to the excerpt. And I'm gonna also add a class here in case I want to style it later. Another thing I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna change this 82 to 83. And I'm gonna call the link to the post here, known as the permalink. For this, I'm gonna create the link. And here inside, I call the function the permalink. And I pass the title here inside the link. Notice I am using this the permalink function because I am inside the loop. Outside of the loop, as you remember, you have to use a function called getPermalink. Okay, to finish, I'm gonna call the post featured image. To enable the featured images in the theme, also known as post thumbnails, I need to add one more support in functions.php file. This is very easy. Just open up the file and add this line. I recently discovered that you don't need to add the support if WooCommerce plugin is active in your WordPress installation. However, as our theme will not be made exclusively for WooCommerce, I still recommend you add this line. Now let's go back to the homepage template. Let's say this: if has post thumbnail, this will test whether or not the post has a featured image. If it does, we'll be calling the image at this point the post thumbnail. The first parameter we have to pass here is the image size. Let's create another custom image size in our functions.php. Let's call this image here fancy-lab-blog. And this will have a width of 960 and height of 640 pixels. Now we can pass the size here as fancy lab blog. And to make the image responsive, we create an array and type in here class img fluid. As we don't have any featured image for any of the posts, nothing will appear for now. Let's see. Look here, no image. So let's access the admin dashboard and edit the posts. And let's upload an image for each post. What I did ahead of time is I've already left the images ready to be used, but you can use any image, right? In fact, let me correct what I've just said. One thing you should pay a lot of attention to is the source of the placeholder images that you're using in your theme. If you don't intend to distribute the theme, you can use images from the most varied sources, like Pixabay, for example. I personally love the images available at Pixabay. They are very good quality and they are free. However, if your intention is to distribute the theme, you can only use images from sites that work with GPL or CC0 licenses. For example, you cannot use images from sites like Pixabay. I'll leave a link with the list of sites recommended by the WordPress review team. In addition to image sites, the list also includes fonts and icon sites. They will help you a lot. But I will get back to this later in the course. Okay, now the images are displaying here. The advantage is that they have the same size and are aligned. This will not work only when the user uploads an image that is too small, say less than 960 pixels wide or less than 640 pixels wide. We can also pass the link to the post here in the image, just to make things easier for the site visitor. Just copy this link here, like this. Let's also call the function wp reset post data right after the end while. And voila! We have one more section of our theme up and running. Let's see if it's responsive. Alright, with a little bit of CSS, we have a very acceptable look. In the files of the next lesson, we already have access to the changes I'll make, okay? Now what happens when I click on one of the links? Look there. Not bad. the post has already opened with the full content here for us, but I'll tell you that this can be a little bit better. How about we bring the post featured image here, the publication date, and right here a sidebar where the site owner could add a handful of useful stuff, like links for the latest posts or any other thing. That's what we'll learn to do in the next lessons. So I'll wait for you then.